What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley, and that's the one, the only. It is Scott Savage. Scott, you ready to be savage today, dude? Because we got a lot to talk about with PlayStation's disappointing showcase from yesterday.
Oh, you just say the word. You let me in, coach.
Man. So I was on such a high yesterday going into the PlayStation showcase, and then, well, fans were just like us, left very disappointed. But before we get to all that, Scott, people can join us live each and every day at 11 a.m. Eastern over on youtube.com/InsideTheGameOfficial, as well as twitch.tv/TheOfficialITG. But if you can't join us live, make sure to hit us up later. Hit us up on that new Fired Up network. We'll be there for your listening eardrums and a whole lot more. As well, hit us up at InsideTheGame.ca. Of course, there's TV streaming networks around the globe. That's right. I'm talking about Roku. I'm talking about Amazon Prime under the ESTV banner. And of course, Jinx TV as well. We'll be there. Rogers. Man, we're all over the place. What can I say?
Yeah, there's no way you memorize that whole list.
No, it does definitely go on. So, there is a lot to talk about today because today's showcase has us talking about PlayStation's biggest showcase, and it's left us all disappointed, but we're going to break it down. Xbox reveals what games from the PlayStation showcase are coming to Xbox platform, and we have an update on the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake. That's a big one, Scott.
That was a cheeky little return fire from Xbox. I like that, though. That has me laughing.
Yep. Yeah, let's get into today's show because there were 30 games, over 30 games showed yesterday for PS5, PC, and only 5 for PSVR 2. That's has me very nervous. Dude, we started off with Haven's newest title, their first actually as a PlayStation studio now as well, Fair Games. Scott, I was shocked that Haven kicked off the showcase, and the fact that we really don't know what is going on here. It is looking like a 3v3v. Who knows how many people are in this world, but it is a heist experience, and it's a modern day spin-off of the Robin Hood, a thrill seeker, of course. It's one of those, man, this is not how you start off the showcase. I was left already disappointed getting into the first half of this show, left me wondering what's in store for the back half, because the first half wasn't coming out swinging. And I
Yeah,
was
kind of expecting it to launch at a really quick rate on, Gear 3, but it kind of slowly built up that way. And
absolutely
Fair Games wouldn't have been my choice to lead, but what I saw out of Fair Games wasn't necessarily negative. It just
no.
perhaps in a different light would have been shown a little bit better. An extraction shooter in what seems to be a trend of extraction shooters.
Well, yeah, and I'm wondering, there's no actual date given, just PS5 and PC. This is when they get in that games as service that PlayStation's been talking about that they're working on. They have 10, 13 games in development right now. Haven's working on one of those games. Fair Games is that title. And I just don't know if this is going to be in the conversation and a year later going, Scott, servers are shut down. That's where I'm kind of worried, right? They got to have the longevity ready to go here and be able to keep their community going when you're already competing with some of the best with, the Call of Duties, the Apex, the Fortnites. Vigor is already kind of coming to mind when we talk about these extraction shooters. The Division with their Dark Zone does it well as one of the big contenders as well. So when you get in here with bringing something brand new, Jade Raymond's studio finally get to figure out what she's doing. This isn't what I thought she was up to, in all honesty, right? She's bounced around from Stadia, then over to EA, and now she's formed her own studio, getting tired of, trying to work with everybody else, figures she'll do her own thing. They get bought by PlayStation, and then they come out with an extraction shooter? Not what I would have pegged.
I would have expected more of a narrative-driven kind of story element to break out this new studio, but putting all your eggs in one basket is a little nerve-wracking. If you're Haven, an extraction shooter might not land, and then what does that leave you with? But we've seen DMZ, was it, on the Battlefield side, and some of these extraction shooters just are not lasting. Hazard Zone, that's right.
Yeah, DMZ was Call of Duty. But yeah, absolutely, right? It's one of those things, and then it was a cinematic trailer. Again, no gameplay. At this point, I'm over exhausted with cinematics. I want to see what I'm playing. That's what we're going to be doing. Show me what I'm playing, not this cinematic. Anybody can make a cinematic and be wowed because it looks cool. But at the end of the day, all of a sudden now your whole perspective is a different view when you're playing the game. Man, that stuff just drives me nuts, and I'm just tired of it all. And then, Jim Ryan comes out, as Brad pointed over on Twitch, and dude, that kind of set the tone, I think, moving forward, where we're going.
Yeah, it seems that the fan side response was not that of excitement for Jim.
No, he's not the face that PlayStation once had, and that's where we're kind of sitting at, right? We're getting into this area now with Jim Ryan comes out, and you're like, oh man, what is he gonna say to set this up to kick things off? And we already got Fair Games, not really coming out as a heavy hitter. It's a new IP, but it wasn't that exciting. It didn't blow the socks off of us. And then Jim Ryan tells us we're in our third year of PlayStation 5. Here's what's coming. Our expectations are set so high. Dude, we got Helldivers 2 announced. Great. They changed the perspective. We're getting third person. PS5, PC.
That looked cool to me. It stood out as, well, I was unfamiliar with Helldivers just right off the start. So I thought, oh, is this ODST on a PlayStation?
Right? Then we saw Immortals of Avium come over. That's out on July 20th. That's EA. EA does not have EA Play this year, so they have to partner up with other companies like PlayStation. I kind of expected them to be there at Summer Games Fest with Jeff Keighley. They probably will be, Scott. Ghost Runner 2
I don't think we saw anything new about Immortals of Avium.
No, absolutely
we've seen that
nothing.
already. There was a large expo on that already.
Yep.
But Ghost Runners 2, that got my blood moving.
No, that one. And then you also saw Phantom Blade Zero. No actual date on that, though. PS5. So that was cool to see. We're trying to move through this as quickly as possible because there are so many things. And this isn't our regular show for us, as we usually cover the latest news, but we're kind of running through the showcase and breaking it down. Hitting on some of the highlights. Sword of the Sea was definitely a highlight for me. This is some of the creators from the team that worked on Journey. And definitely when that opened up, I'm like, yo, is this Journey 2? And that's where I was like, yeah, this looks cool.
That looked really cool to me. I like the looks of it.
Absolutely. The Talos Principle 2 was announced as well. Nice puzzle game, Scott. There's a lot going on.
I'm curious to see more there because, I played Talos 1 and for a very short time, but it was very narratives puzzle game. So I want to see more of that. I really like those games.
Neva coming out in 2024 on PS5. Scott, your thoughts on that one?
Appeared to be thoughtful, very emotionally led, and I like the idea of that too. As I get older, I want games to make me feel things.
Oh, which is fair, right? Then we saw Cat Quest. in
There we
2024
go.
as well. PS5,
I'm feeling that.
PS4 as well. I didn't think we get it on PS4, but it looks like we're actually still going to get a couple titles coming over to PS4. One that kind of, this is where things started to really kind of take a turn in this showcase was for me when we saw Neva. Okay, things are getting a little quirky. This was cool. I'm okay with that. Cat Quest comes out. I'm like, all right. Not for me, but yeah, I
Not
know you're
excited
down
about
for
cats.
that. And then Foam Stars from Square Enix came out, and I was like, no, this doesn't work. This just doesn't work. This is now starting to crush the expectations of this showcase for me.
Stepping into negative territory for Foam Stars.
Very negative.
It's unfortunate. I'm not really sure what we saw out of Foam Stars can really. I don't know how to make much sense of it, and it wasn't exactly awe-inspiring. But
no, absolutely not. Dude, the Plucky Squire though looks kind of good. That one looked pretty fun.
That does look fun.
One that's been over in the world of PC is making its way over to PS5. It's Teardown. It's a pixelated destruction game, which is very cool. You go in, you set it up, you build everything, and then you just blow them up. It's a heist game, believe it or not. It's kind of neat. And then the horrible hidden secret we finally saw yesterday was Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. Scott, finally. Again, though, cinematic trailer. Dude, no gameplay whatsoever, right? And that's kind of one of those things. It's cinematic, and that's all we really saw here moving forward. I'm like, yo, we know Metal Gear is being made. That is not a well-kept secret whatsoever. But, and then at the end of it, there's a developer who comes out and says, yeah, we're working on the game, but nobody's stated who the developer is. Nobody knows who's actually making the game, which is so bizarre to see. Is it Konami making it? We're like, yeah, we know you don't put trust in us right now because of Metal Gear Survive. So we better not come out and say we're the ones making this. Or is it Blue Point making this from the ground up? And we're like, what is this? You start with an ant. It showcases an ant as the beginning of the cinematic trailer, and a frog and a bird.
Yeah, I was thinking, what is this? I'm thinking of Small Lands, games that I've played more recently, and then no, never mind, that's Snake. But they did have a little statement here that I want to touch on here. They have said, we are remaking Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, one of the most beloved installments of the Metal Gear series. Correct. We are working hard for Snake Eater to be faithful recreation of the original story and game design, while evolving the gameplay with stunning visuals and a seamless user experience. Simultaneously, we will deliver the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection series, the most complete compilation that celebrates the 35th, anniversary of the series. That is something that's coming out as well. There's been some talk about, is that a brand new version of Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and then 3? How does that work? Because 3 is being redone, so it's unclear to me whether that's the HD remakes that were done on 360 brought forward.
It's that part.
It's also worth noting there's Volume 1, indicating a Volume 2 could be coming.
Well, so Volume 1 I don't think is even necessary because we've had it come over from PlayStation 3. Like, that was already there, right? You could go back and get those games. They were on
them actually
PlayStation
recently.
Plus. And it's in that collection as well. Like, there's other things like that's weird. Your big reveal was Metal Gear Solid 3 coming back, which is fantastic for me, right? Snake Eater is one of my favorite of all time. One of my favorite games of all time. So when we get into this, I'm like, yeah, this is here. Okay, cool. Cinematic trailer, no gameplay. That's disappointing. Does that mean Keely's got something queued up for us for Summer Game Fest? Maybe that's when we get the gameplay and they're just setting this up. So I have hopes for that, Scott. But it was just kind of more cinematic, right? And this is just not the showcase that we're looking for. We want to see these AAA bangers come out and just be wowed from the minute this showcase starts until it ends. And it didn't really wow us until Metal Gear showed up. There's a couple cool looking titles there, obviously. Like, oh, that looks cool. That looks cool. That's great. This is good to see. But our socks weren't blown off at the end of the day. This is like a nice step up from a state of play, but not a showcase. When we're getting into that E3 realm now, is that territory is now we're setting up. E3 is canceled. We all know that. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
So, but everybody else is getting a showcase now for that same time period because it's now E3 season, right? We're getting geared up for E3. This isn't a state of play. It is a showcase. And they didn't come out for a showcase. They came out for a state of play. And it was unfortunate for me. But another game that did catch our eye though, Scott, is Towers. So we've been going back and forth how to pronounce this one because nobody really knows. Is it Towers of Azkaba is, I think, what we're going with.
I think it's Agasba.
Either way, it's a weird name, but it looks
It auto
really, really
corrected
cool.
to Agast.
Yeah, so there's that. The game is gorgeous looking. It is massive creatures, dude. Like the art style in this one and the direction has me pretty pumped. But we're not getting it until 2024.
It's nice and clean, but it still has like an anime aesthetic, but not rough. If that makes sense, a very clean, polished version of that.
Almost comic book like art style, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
It makes me think of like web comics.
Okay. Yep, sure. And then we saw more Final Fantasy 16. Something I don't think any of us need to see anymore. We just need the game.
We already saw a lot of that on the State of Play, I believe.
Yeah. Alan Wake 2 coming out on October 17th is cool. Something I did not expect to see, Scott, was Assassin's Creed Mirage. But leaked, once again, Ubisoft horrible at actually kind of holding to their own. The release date was leaked, October 12th. Which has me excited. I'm glad they're out of that September window because September looks like it's going to crush everything. So get out the way. It's kind of one of those things.
October is getting really packed now as a result, though. Alan Wake on the 17th and Mirage on the 12th. There's something on the 13th that I'm failing to recall.
I'm excited to see Assassin's Creed go back to its roots. I think that's where, like, we were watching yesterday and the parkour element was there. And I was like, yes, it is back, right? There's that. There's a lot of stealth elements making its return. Throwing knives were back again. I'm like, yo, we are getting that return to form. And it's nice. I can't wait to hear more of a Basim's story and get my hands on that.
It did show a bit of combat as well, though. You can drop the gloves.
Yep, absolutely you can. Revenant Hill, it was there as well. Grand Blue Fantasy, which I honestly thought was Dragon Quest.
Yeah, we both really thought that was Dragon Quest. I saw a character wearing red early on in the trailer as well. I thought that was indication enough. Nope.
Ultros was this weird other game looking thing. Man,
I really like the look of the color and everything on that. I'm excited about that one.
Tower of Fantasy. A lot of games, really, nothing dropped too much as of yesterday, and this is kind of where it was a little frustrating to see that. Dragon Dogma, though, was getting some new news. Dragon's Dogma 2, so that's cool. Five Nights at Freddy, Scott.
Yeah.
Really necessary to see that there? I didn't expect to see that one there. And then that was kind of it until we got into five, Scott. Just 5 PSVR 2 games, and I was just like, really, this is it, which was disappointing. Resident Evil 4 VR mode, something we know what was being talked about was coming.
That looked really cool. It was really exciting to me, though.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Arizona Sunshine, which is over the top, okay, fun. Crossfire Sierra is going to be there.
After Crossfire X, I do not have much faith.
Yeah, for sure. Synapse looks super cool. Very excited to see that one. And finally making its way over to PSVR 2 is Beat Saber, which should have been there as a launch title. And the fact that it wasn't blows my mind. But that was
very curious. I think it launches with the Queen DLC.
Yes, it does. So, man, I don't know. I was pretty disappointed to see that that's all we have. Like, I'm worried my PSVR 2 now is just going to collect dust. Right? After that, we got into Bungie's newest title, Marathon. And another PvP extraction shooter coming out of the PlayStation realm. Dude, do we need another one?
Well, and Marathon is strange coming back from Bungie. Marathon was considered to be the precursor to Halo way back in the day. We're going beyond 20 years ago now. So to see Marathon come back is interesting at all.
Right.
And I don't know enough of it to know if PvP extraction shooter makes sense. But I didn't think so.
It was
like
a weird
Halo
cinematic
extraction
trailer.
shooter would be strange too.
Another cinematic experience, right? We didn't get any gameplay. We really don't know what we're getting into there. And then Firewalk, the most recent purchase studio over there for PlayStation, showed us Concord, which again was another sci-fi cinematic. Dude, just cinematic.
May have all been a still image as well. There was really nothing shown.
Yep, absolutely. Followed up with that was the Gran Turismo movie, which I don't feel needed to be there. I get you're looking to push that, so yeah, it's coming around. What I was excited though for was Project 8. And Project 8 is this actual handheld streaming platform that will work with your PS5.
Oh, I think that's Project Q actually.
Sorry, Project Q.
What earbuds specifically?
Oh, right, that's where it went over to. So they announced two things: Project Q for the streaming platform, super cool. An 8-inch screen. It's only LCD, which is kind of disappointing to see. Is done an LED, right? Like I'm just that kind of blows my mind. Why would you do that?
Yeah,
Earbuds.
Nintendo set the standard for OLED now. I thought we were
Yeah,
all moving forward.
yeah, we're definitely moving forward, right? So why are we going behind the times here? But we'll see. Either way, I'm looking forward to checking that out. I think that'd be a nice little platform for me. I'm looking for a way to tap into my PS5 after I've kind of stepped away from the couch, sort of thing. And then,
and we all owe a salute to the Wii U.
yes, we do. And then to follow up and end off, which I thought they should have started the showcase with, was Spider-Man 2. Which
exciting to see, but not necessarily a surprise.
Well, that's one of the games we actually knew about, right? Where was The Last of Us? What is Ben working on? What, like, there's so many other questions going. Where's Ghost of Tsushima 2? What's Guerrilla's next title? I know they're not ready to show that because they just gave us Horizon Burning Shores. So granted, they're busy working on whatever they're working on next. What's Blue Point up to? Like, when it said AAA games, we were kind of expecting first party games, and we didn't see any of those. What's Sony?
Yeah.
I guess God of War Ragnarok just came out. So Santa Monica is obviously busy working on planning their next steps. So there's a couple things we're not going to see, but Spider-Man is expected. The Last of Us multiplayer, I was expecting. Didn't see that.
I wasn't expecting to see Abandoned, but that would have been a pleasant surprise at this point.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Overall, very underwhelming of a showcase.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's what it does. It kind of seems to be around the consensus of everybody. We were hoping for a heck of a lot more, and we just didn't get there. But what we are getting over on Xbox is a few of these games over from the PlayStation Showcase, Scott. They quickly tweeted out after the showcase, it followed up with, here's some games you're going to be getting as well on the Xbox platform. Alan Wake 2, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Cat Quest, Pirates. Oh, man, I'm not even going to do that, Scott. Dragon's Dogma 2, Ghost Runner 2, Immortals of Avium, Marathon, Bungie's newest title. Keep that in the back of your mind. Metal Gear Solid, Snake Eater, Neva, Teardown, The Plucky Squire, and The Talos Principle 2. Scott, just under half of the games we saw yesterday, the showcase, are also coming to Xbox. Does this set Xbox up now for their showcase?
I think so. I think that's the biggest result out of all of this, is that this may have been underwhelming. And maybe not necessarily negative. We can still say it's a positive, but underwhelming.
Sure.
But what it is a very slow pitch in slow motion over to Xbox that's ready to bat it right out of the park. Hopefully. They could, of course, waffle completely and fail, but this is not terribly hard to follow up as long as the right set pieces are there.
We need to see the first party games. That's what we were looking to see here on a PlayStation. We didn't get those. Here's the Xbox opportunity now to show us their first party lineup. Right, we do already know we're getting Starfield this year. That's the biggest thing coming next. Do we get anything else this year? We're getting Forza, right? So there is that coming as well. Their big motorsport game.
There's cards not yet revealed. The Perfect Dark, the Fable. You could pull those out and show us in a certain way, as long as it's not the logo a second time.
Yes, yeah. Again, show me gameplay. I don't want to see the cinematics. I want to know what I'm playing, right? How does this look? How does this gear us towards things? And granted, that does take time in production to make sure you are at that ready. But, man, we need to see more. I'm hoping. I have high hopes now, as it being left off really cold with PlayStation. I'm hoping Xbox can kind of pick my spirits back up, Scott. But maybe this can pick your spirits up as well. As an update to Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time remake. Michael over at Ubisoft had this to say. Last year, Ubisoft announced the Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake project was moving to Ubisoft Montreal, where the studio that created the 2003 original would take over development. While the project is still heavily under wraps and won't be at the Ubisoft Forward in June, Scott, something I feel that they needed to get out in front of and say, hey, we are not ready, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very much alive.
That's the big one that I want to see.
Right, and Ubisoft News had a chance to speak with the producer. You can definitely go check that out. I think the highlight here, Scott, is just that they're working on the game still. It is not canceled. I think that's the biggest takeaway, right? What are your thoughts?
Oh, Ubisoft has had a little bit of rough waters we've seen lately, so I'm glad that they did acknowledge it. Exactly what you said. Need to acknowledge it so we're not just on the edge of our seat waiting for it the entire presentation.
No, absolutely. That's the biggest thing moving forward is kind
Do you
of
think we're
setting
Do you
standards.
think we'll get Prince of Persia has joined Rainbow Six Siege?
Oh man, I don't
If
know.
they take any longer on it.
Maybe, right? They got to make some skins to help out with the production of the game. It is one of those. Prince of Persia, we thought nobody was blown away. We're very underwhelmed, so they took it back and brought it
Mhm.
in-house right to the original creators of the game, which is nice to see as well. I'm glad they didn't just scrap it, but let's take the time it's gonna take to make this game proper and give us what the fans really truly need. Kind of like Skull and Bones, how many
We're
years
gonna
it's taken. So
we're gonna get that first though.
I don't know if we'll get Skull and Bones first at this point. I'm surprised they haven't canceled that game. That game is
I
in
am too,
big
but
troubled waters over there, Scott. That's, oh,
yeah.
man. Dude, we have a couple games out today. What do we have today?
We have Hello Neighbor Search and Rescue. This is on PlayStation VR, PlayStation VR 2, The Quest, and PC. I'm very curious to know more on that, actually. I would like to direct you that.
Fair
We
enough.
have Maquette on the Switch, The Case of the Golden Idol on Nintendo Switch as well, and The Lord of the Rings Gollum has released on PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, X and S, and PC. That has released today.
And not
to a-
too well received reviews.
A bit of a bruising, yeah.
Yeah, we just received our code yesterday on the game. There's usually a reason why we receive some of these games late, and the score is popping out this morning or from PC, and that seems to be the man.
Not confidence inspiring, but I like to keep a clean palette for myself. We'll see.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to check it out. We're gonna get in there, we're gonna play it and see how well this kind of plays out. But at the end of the day, from what we've been seeing around the ecosphere, it hasn't gone all that well, which is disappointing because the Lord of the Rings is such a beloved IP.
Is it Andy Serkis just riffing for 6 hours?
I don't know what is he even involved in the game at all, or is he just kind of sitting on the outside going, "What did you guys just do to my character?" Right?
He's been replaced by Benedict Cumberbatch.
It's so man, it's so disappointing. That's too bad. But we'll have our full thoughts on that here shortly in the coming weeks. But Scott, just like that, the show is over. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news each and every day at 11 a.m. Eastern over on YouTube, Twitch, and all the other ecospheres around the world. Of course, InsideTheGame.ca is one place you can check us out, and TV networks, and then now, as of recently, the Fired Up Network. So until tomorrow, everybody, I'm Drew, that's Scott. We'll see you inside the game.